আজকে আমরা এইচএস এবিটিএ টেস্ট পেপার থেকে মোস্ট ইম্পর্ট্যান্ট এসএকিউ নিয়ে আলোচনা করব। তো এখান থেকে সমস্ত এসএকিউ নিয়ে আমরা আলোচনা করব আজকে। তো তোমরা ভালো করে এগুলো প্র্যাকটিস করবে, ঠিক আছে, পরীক্ষার জন্য তোমাদের। তো ফার্স্ট কোশ্চেন, হোয়ার ডিড কালামস ফাদার গো এভরি মর্নিং আফটার দ্য নামাজ? তাহলে উত্তরটা কি লিখবো আমরা? কালামস ফাদার ওয়েন টু দেয়ার স্মল কোকোনাট গ্রোভ এভরি মর্নিং আফটার দ্য নামাজ। নেক্সট কোশ্চেন, হোয়াট ওয়াজ দ্য নেম অফ দ্য হাই প্রিস্ট অফ রামেশ্বরম টেম্পল? Pokhi Lakshman Shastri was the name of the high priest of Rameswaram temple. What was the full name of Mrs. John? The full name of Mrs. John was Mrs. Luella Bates Washington John. What did Mrs. Bates want Roger? Mrs. Bates want Roger to steal pocketbook. Why did the jar give a reward to none? As the learned man answered the three questions differently, he did not get satisfactory answer from them, so he gave a reward to none. How long did the jar dig the bed? The jar dug the beds for 2 hours. Next question, who broke into the narrator's revive? The new fellow travelers broke into the narrator's revive. When did the girl laugh in a clear ringing tone? When the narrator remarked that the girl had an interesting face, the girl laughed in a clear ringing tone. Why do the birds hide in cooling trees? The birds hide in cooling trees because they are faint with hot sun. Next question, what does the new moon meat imply? The new moon meat implies newly cut meadows. Where does the tree's strange lie? The tree's strange lie in its root. Not to so much will do it. What tax does the word it refers to? The word it refers to and the act of killing a tree. Where does the stream leave so strand of silver? The stream leaves so strands of silver on the bright grass. What do the two red holes signify? The word two red holes signifies two bullet wounds. Next question, how does the poet Shakespeare want to perpetuate the beauty of his friends? The poet Shakespeare wants to perpetuate the beauty of his friend through poetry. What does the eyes of heaven refers to? The word eyes of heaven refers to the sun. Next question, when was the ancestral house of APJ Abdul Kalam built? The ancestral house of APJ Abdul Kalam was built in the middle of 19th century. Next question, how would Kalam's father sanctify water? Dipping his finger into the boil of water, Kalam's father would sanctify it by saying a prayer of God. Next question, where was the narrator of the story The Eyes of It going? The narrator of the story The Eyes of It was going to Mussoorie. How did the narrator know that the girl wore slippers? The narrator knew that the girl wore slippers from the way they slapped against her heels. What food was offered to Roger as dinner by Mrs. John? Lima beans, ham, cocoa and cake were offered to Roger as dinner by Mrs. Jones. What could Roger hear other rumors doing? Roger could hear other rumors laughing and talking in the large house. What did Beardman ask after regaining consciousness? The Beardman asked for something to drink after regaining consciousness. What was the hermit famous for? The hermit was famous for his wisdom. Who is the poet of the poem Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? William Shakespeare is the poet of the poem Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day. What month does the poet mention in the sonnet number 18? The poet mentioned the month of May in the sonnet number 18. What form of sonnet in the poem The Poetry of Earth? The poem Poetry of Earth is written in the form of Petrarchan sonnet or Italian sonnet. What does the poet celebrate in the poem The Poetry of Earth? The poet celebrates the music of earth in the poem Poetry of Earth. Why does it take much time to kill a tree? It takes much time to kill a tree because it has grown strong over many years by absorbing nutrients from the soil, sunlight, air, and water. When will the miniature boughs expand to the former size? The miniature boughs will expand to the former size when it is unchecked. How is the soldier depicted in the poem The As Live in the Valley? The soldier depicted in the poem As Live in the Valley is young but dead. The humming insect don't disturb his rest. Why does the poet say so? আচ্ছা, এই কোশ্চেনটার উত্তরটা মিসিং হয়ে গেছে। চলো নেক্সট কোশ্চেন চলে যাচ্ছি। হু স্ট্যামার্ড অ্যান অ্যাপোলজি? দ্য নিউ ফেলো ট্রাভেলার হু এন্টার দ্য কম্পার্টমেন্ট স্ট্যামার অ্যান অ্যাপোলজি টু মিসেস জোন। হোয়ার ইজ স্ট্রং রুট টেকেন ফ্রম? Strong root is taken from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's autobiography Wings of Fire. Where will the narrator get down from the train? The narrator will get down at Mussoorie. What did the purse of the woman have? The purse had everything except a hammer and nails. According to Kalam, what power saves lives? The power of prayer saves lives. Which part of the body of the bearded man was injured? His stomach of the bearded man was injured. What did the boy finally manage to say, Mrs. John? The boy finally managed to say thank you. Thank you. Whom did the bearded man escape from? He escaped from the Tsar's bodyguard. Who takes the lead in summer luxury? The grasshopper takes the lead in summer luxury. Why do the humming insect not disturb his rest? The humming insect don't disturb his rest because the soldier is dead. Why does irony lie in the poem on killing a tree? The irony lies in the first line. It takes much time to kill a tree. What shakes the darling birds of May? The rough winds shake the darling birds of May. What are the basic needs of a tree? The basic needs are sunlight, water, air, and soil. What do the two red holes signifies? The two red holes signifies bullet wounds in the soldier's body. To whom is Shakespeare's sonnet number 18 addressed? Shakespeare's sonnet number 18 is addressed to the poet's beloved friend. When does the cricket shrill? The cricket shrills during winter evening. We will soon be at your station. What is the station spoken of here? The station of Saharanpur is spoken here. What is the adventure of adversities? The adversities always presents opportunity for introspection. What safe remarks did the narrator make about the girl? The narrator told the girl that she had an interesting face. This was the safe remark. How was the childhood of Kalam? The childhood of Kalam was very secure, materially and emotionally. Next question. What did Mrs. Jones' purse contain? Mrs. Jones' purse contained everything except hammer and nails. Why did the jar go to the hermit? The jar went to the hermit to get answer of his three questions. How did Roger look like? Roger looked like as if he were 14 or 15. Frail, yellow wheels and tennis shoes and blue jeans. Next question. Why was the bearded man attacked by the bodyguard of the Tsar? The bearded man was attacked by the bodyguard of the Tsar because he was the enemy of the Tsar. According to the bearded man, the Tsar killed his brother and seized his property. How can a tree can kill ultimately? A tree can be killed ultimately by uprooting, scorching, choking, browning, hardening, twistering. What does the river live on the valley. The river leaves on the valley long strand of silver. How can a tree be uprooted? A tree can be uprooted by roping tightly. বা অ্যান্সারটা ঘুরিয়ে এভাবে লিখতে পারো, ইট ইজ রোপ টাইটলি টু পুল আউট অ্যান্ড স্ন্যাপড আউট এন্টায়ারলি টু ডু ইট। নেক্সট কোশ্চেন, দে ফিল দ্য হলো। হোয়াট ডাজ দ্য ওয়ার্ড হলো mean here? Here the word hollow means valley. How do the darling birds of May get affected? The darling birds of May get affected by rough wind. Whose voice shall run from his hedge? The grasshopper's voice shall run from his hedge. So long live this, and this gives life to thee. What does this indicate? Here, this indicate the sonnet number 18 of Shakespeare. Who sings among the grassy hills? The grasshopper sings among the grassy hills. What further aroused the narrator's curiosity about the girls in the Ijabit? The girl's voice aroused the narrator's curiosity about the girl in the Ijabit. What seemed to be tantalized to the narrator? The perfume of the girl's hair seemed to be tantalized to the narrator. What was Kalam's ancestral house located? Kalam's ancestral house was located on the Moscow street in Rameswaram. How far was Coconut Grove from Kalam's house? The coconut grove was 4 miles from Kalam's house. Next question. How did Roger want to help Mrs. Bates? Roger wanted to help Mrs. Bates by going to store to get some milk or something else. What would Mrs. John not tell Roger? Mrs. John would not tell Roger what she did in her life. Next question. What was the second question of the jar? The second question of the jar was how he could know who were the right people to and whom to avoid. What did the hermit answer the third question of the jar? According to hermit, the most important affairs is to do good to a person with whom you are. Thus the hermit answered to the third question of the jar. Why are the roots white and white? The roots are white and white because they are hidden inside the earth for years, and then it is done. Here, what act is referred to here? The act of killing a tree. Killing a tree is referred to here. Next question. What does from the mountain top? What flows from the mountain top? The sun rays flows from the mountain top. How is the soldier lying? The soldier is lying in the valley, keeping his one hand and his breast on his breast and head on the pillow of the fern. What is the rhyme scheme of the sonnet number 18? The rhyme scheme of the sonnet number 18 is A B A B C D C D E F E F double G. What type of life was assured to Abdul Kalam's in his childhood? Kalam's father used to avoid all essential or all inessential comfort and luxury. All necessities were provided in terms of food, medicine, clothes. Simple life was assured to Abdul Kalam's in his childhood. According to APJ Abdul Kalam, how can an individual feel free and happy with complete peace of mind? According to APJ Abdul Kalam, an individual can feel free and happy with complete peace of mind when she severs his emotional and physical bonds. What compliment from the narrator did the girl laugh? When the narrator remarked that the girl had an interesting face, the girl laughed. Why might have the voice of the narrator startle his first co-passenger? According to the narrator, he might have been sitting in the dark corner, so his voice startled his first co-passenger. Next question. What was the second question of the jar thought of? The second question of the jar was how he could know the right people to listen to, or whom to avoid. Next question. What did the jar see when he reached the hermit's hut? The jar saw that the hermit was digging the ground in front of his hut when he reached the hermit's hut. What did Mrs. Luella Bates ask Roger to do after she caught him? Mrs. Luella Bates asked Roger to pick up her pocketbook after she caught him. What were the parting words of Mrs. Luella Bates to Roger? At the end, Mrs. Jones advised Roger to behave properly and not to snatch anybody's pocketbook. What is the step that caused a lot of pain to the tree? The act of hacking and chopping is the step that causes a lot of pain to the tree. What are the final agents of nature that facilitate the killing of a tree? The sun and the air are the final agents of nature that facilitate the kings of a tree. Where does the soldier sleep in the poem As Sleep in the Valley? The soldier sleeps in the valley in the poem As Sleep in the Valley. Next question. What does the soldier posture of sleep suggested in the poem As Sleep in the Valley? The soldier's posture of sleep suggested the deceptive appearance of peace and rest of poem As Sleep in the Valley. What is the eyes of heaven? The sun is the eyes of heaven. So long live this life gives this gives life to thee. What does the poet refer to through the word this and thee? Here this refers to the sonnet number 18 of Shakespeare, and the refer to sonnet's friend. He takes the lead. Who is he here? Here, her refers to, he refers to the grasshopper. What does Keats mean by new mown mead in the sonnet? By new mown mead, the poet means newly cut meadows. What did Mrs. Jones and Roger have for supper? Mrs. Jones and Roger had lima beans, ham, cocoa, cake for supper. What was Mrs. Jones carrying with her? Mrs. Jones was carrying a large purse with her. The purse had everything except hammer and nails. With what did people wait for Kalam's father outside the Moscow? People wait for Kalam's father outside the Moscow with bowl of water. What did the jar promise to the beardman? The jar promised the beardman to return his property. Having taken leave of the wounded man, where did the jar go and what did he show? তাহলে অ্যান্সারটা আমরা কি লিখবো? অ্যান্সারটা লিখবো having taken leave of wounded man, the jar went out into the porch and looked around for the hermit. Before going away, he asked hermit about the answer of the 3 questions. What was Kalam's father's opinion about relevance of prayer? According to the Kalam's father, there was nothing mysterious about prayer. Rather, prayers can possibly communion of spirit between two people. What mistake did the narrator make in Bond's story, The Eyes of It? The narrator asked the blind girl what it was like outside the window. Later, he realized that it was a mistake. What bold remark did the narrator make about the girl's face? The narrator remarked that the girl had an interesting face. Next question. What does the earth cave refer to in Give Patel's poem? The word earth cave refers to a gaping hole where the roots are pulled out in Give Patel poem. In which form is the poem on killing a tree written? The poem on killing a tree written in 3 verses. How does the soldier lie? The soldier lie in the valley keeping one hand on his breast and head on the farm. What is referred to as the eye of heaven? Eye of heaven means the sun. What is meant by the summer's lease hath two sorted it. Summer's lease hath all two sorted it means summer is transitory. Who breaks the silence of winter? The cricket breaks the silence of winter. Who takes the lead in summer luxury? The grasshopper takes lead in summer luxury. What was the bird tired of? The girl sorry. What was the girl tired of? The girl was tired of people telling her she had a pretty face. For how long was narrator prepared to sit on the train? The narrator was prepared to sit on the train for almost any length of time. Who was a close friend of Jainuddin? Pokki Lakshman Shastri was the close friend of Jainuddin. When would Dr. Kalam's father said it, said his day? Kalam's father would start his day at 4 a.m. by reading the namaz before dawn. What was the parting advice of Mrs. Jones to the boy? Mrs. Jones advised Roger to behave properly. Next question. How old was Roger? Roger was 14 or 15 years old. Where did the hermit live? Hermit lived in the wood. Why was the Tsar glad? The Tsar was very glad to have made peace with his enemy. What will happen to the bleeding bark? The bleeding bark will heal again after being hacked and chopped. What remains hidden inside the earth? The root remains hidden inside the earth. What will give you to the life to the poet's friend? Sonnet number 18 of Shakespeare will give life to the poet's friend. Whose goal complexion is being spoken to? Summer's goal complexion is being spoken to. Why is the soldier pale? The soldier is pale because he is dead. How is the smile of the young soldier? The smile of the young soldier is like an infant, gentle without guile. What do the tired bird do in summer? The tired birds hide in cooling trees in summer. Which season does the sunset of the poetry of earth? The sestet of the poetry of earth and the season of winter. Who, according to Jainuddin, was the relevance of prayer? According to Jainuddin, there was nothing mysterious about prayer. Rather, prayer made communion of spirit between people. How could the narrator guess that the girl was wearing slipper? The narrator could guess that the girl was wearing slipper when he heard the sound of a slipper. What was APJ Abdul Kalam born? Where was APJ Abdul Kalam born? তাহলে APJ Abdul Kalam was born in Rameswaram, Tamil Nadu. How old was Roger? In the story, the thank you ma'am, Roger was 14 or 15 years old. How did the hermit receive the jar? The hermit received the jar with greeting when went to meet him wearing simple clothes. What was the hermit widely renowned for? The hermit widely renowned for his wisdom. Next question. How are the hills in the October in Mussoorie? The hills are covered with wild dahlia in October in Mussoorie. What does the word crust means? Crust means top layer of earth. What shakes the darling birds of May? Rough wind shakes the darling birds of May. What kind of sonnet is sonnet number? The Poetry of Earth. The Poetry of Earth is an Italian or Petrarchan sonnet. What sprouts out of leproside? Leaves sprout out of leproside. To whom shall I compare it to a summer day address? Shall I compare it to a summer day? The summer day is addressed to the poet's young friend. From where do the sun rays fall on the valley? The sun rays fall from the mountain on the valley. And the last question, where was the dead soldier resting his head? The dead soldier was resting his head on a pillow made of fern in the valley. Who hides in the cooling tree in summer? The tired birds hide in the cooling trees in summer. তো এই কোশ্চেনগুলো তোমরা অবশ্যই দেখে যাবে, এগুলো সমস্ত এবিটিএ থেকে নেওয়া। হ্যাঁ, এবিটিএ সলভ করলাম, এসিকিউ দিলাম, তোমরা অবশ্যই এগুলো প্র্যাকটিস করবে। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ।